Hey guys, good morning. This is Mac, and we are going to go over the mechanics with Lokestiiz. I hope you don't mind that the video is a little shaky. I don't have a stabilizer on, so I'm just gonna try and hold my phone as I'm going over this or the mechanics on this little whiteboard on my fridge. So this isn't actually sponsored by Molson Canadian either. It's just, the only whiteboard we had in the house. So yeah, this is the arena. This little circular thing that I drew up using a peanut butter cap is the arena that you're gonna find yourself in the Lokestiiz arena. So Lokestiiz Mechanics, or his flight mechanics, is going to appear at these following percentages. You can expect it at 85%, at 55%, and at 35%. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Lokestiiz by this little turtle that my brother got from Hawaii, which is absolutely adorable. So there he is. Typical positioning for this, especially on veteran, is really important. You'll notice on the wings, there and there, okay, we're going to have me. I'm basically going to be keeping Lokestiiz looking away from you guys. So I'm just going to try and write it there. It's a little hard. But M, for me, that's Mac. You're going to have two people in the back here. This is really important now. You're going to have Caesar, who's the off tank. And actually, a little too far up. Might even be better that he's a little bit more towards the middle. Two things to keep in mind as well. This is considered dragon side, so I'm going to write it here. And this is called backside. Okay? So it's very important that you guys get to understand which side is what. So there's backside and there's dragon side up here. Everybody, the full stack is going to be right here. So I'm just going to put stack. You don't want to be too much over to this direction, because if you do, you get wing slap. You want to stay right on the thumb. That little nub he has, very tip of it, or even just along the knuckle. You should be okay. Then you're going to have snips. We're going to have snips ranging the back side along like that. Okay. All right, so Caesar, your job over here is to basically capture the attention or aggro of any frost atros that pop up. So let's say frost atro comes up over here, just like right in front of you. We're making it easy. You're going to want to keep him facing away from snips, typically, so you can have him facing either right or left. Either one's okay. A really important mechanic here for snips, the reason why we have snips in the back here, she's calling out Ice Tomb. Ice Tomb is a mechanic very similar to many mechanics and other trials that will wipe out the entire group if we don't have runners to pay attention to it. So be prepared that we would be calling on any three of you guys, any three of the DPS, to go ahead and run the Ice Tombs. Now the positioning for Ice Tombs could appear at any one location along the back. So this side over here, we're going to call it entrance, just for E. And this side here, we're going to call it exit. And along with back, we're also going to call it mid. The only ones who really have to pay attention during when the dragon is down to those specific verbiage or definitions you want to say, that's for Ice Tomb runners. So Snips is going to be calling out, for example, over here, an Ice Tomb pops up. She's going to say exit, or we have three runners, so she's going to call out the first runner. She's going to say runner 1 entrance. And then runner 1 is going to run from the stack and stand inside that Ice Tomb. Their health is going to continue to go down, and Snips is on the clock. You're literally on a timer to try and heal that runner back up to 100%. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. And let's do another example over here. Let's say that an Ice Tomb forms there. Snips is going to call out runner 2, exit. So we're going to have someone in the stack run along this route to get here. The reason why you're trying to range towards the back and not directly cut across the arena is because whenever the dragon decides to do his fire breath, you could get caught in that. It's not my responsibility to make sure you don't get caught in that while you're running back across the arena. Your responsibility is to run and range across the back so you don't get caught in it and we don't wipe. One more thing to note about each of these runners and the reason we have three of them is that no one person, not one person, can continue to go into these ice tombs over and over and over again, or like by themselves repetitively. They have a debuff on their bar, or in their on their bar, that counts down to the next time that they could potentially go back into the ice tomb, which is why we have three people who are switching or taking turns. Depending on the situation, we may need to have a substitute runner, so that does indicate that you would have at least four runners taking care of Ice Tomb. Once you guys get this down, it's a little bit shaky in the beginning, but overall, we'll be able to get it. So that explains Ice Tomb right there. Okay, so I just erased the board nice and quick there. As I mentioned earlier, we have Caesar, who's ranging somewhere around the middle, and he's picking up this Ice Atronach right there. Okay, and I'm not going to draw where Snips is or the runners are, because we understand that they're running and ranging across the middle of the arena. Middle back, I should say. So from the stack over here, at any point between 85 to 55 or 55 to 35, or sorry, just along any point of health of Lokestiiz, we're going to be getting Storm Atronachs, at least two. So for simplicity's sake, I'm going to put down an X for a Storm Atronach and another X just to say behind me. That's usually where they spawn. Sometimes you get lucky and then you'll get them bunched together, which would be perfect, right? But, you know, hardly that's ever the case. So what are we going to do? You're going to have this stack turn around, take your dots, take all your damage off of the turtle, and you're going to go and hit the one directly behind you as soon as we call it out. So if Caesar sees it, Caesar is going to call out Storm Atro behind you guys. You're going to focus fire on that, take it down. Caesar's going to walk it through. Be careful, because the Atro over here, the Ice Atro, has levels of attacks. He has a cleave attack, he has a radial stomp, he has light attacks, things like that. Anything of which can take down a DPS who's unaware, which is vitally important that you stay in your stack as you're destroying that. It's totally okay to move up to it, especially because we have more stamina DPS or close-in ranged DPS. I think Lars, you're the only one who is ranged, I should say. So after you guys have taken that one down, then you would go and move to the next Storm Atro, take it down. This one you guys would probably have to range. You may need to stay somewhere like around here's just so that you can take it down. Caesar would have already walked it in through there. And then afterwards, Caesar would proceed to bring the Frost Atronach into the lightning pool left behind by the Storm Atronach so that we can get rid of it. Depending on how good the burn is, we'll take the dragon down, we'll take Lokestiiz down to 85%, and we should be able to get him to fly off the field with no Atronachs remaining on the field, okay? Alright guys, so say we get Lokestiiz down to 85%, which is the first flight phase. Lokestiiz is going to fly up into the air, while the rest of us are left to contend with Storm Atronachs and Frost Atronachs that he summons onto the field. The first flight phase typically has the Frost Atronachs popping up about here and here. And we could get, see, I'm having trouble trying to remember right now. I believe it's 4. You guys could correct me once we get in there, but I know we'll have a collection of 4 Storm Atronachs, so I'm just going to go and draw them in places where it's easy for me to just draw them, but typically they won't be that neatly spawned onto the field. Now, your original stack was up over here. Okay. Whenever we get to a flight phase, it is vitally important that both healers, Pirate and Snips, run over to the backside. So again, remember, this is backside. Run over to the backside of the first Atronach on the exit. So the stack would go and run here. Okay, that's a pretty badass. I'm sorry about that, but it's kind of hard to write and record at the same time. But anyway, your stack would be placed over there. Caesar, your job is to grab both Atronachs over here. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and erase the trail just so it's a little cleaner. But Caesar, your job is to grab both of these Atronachs and move them to Dragon side. Okay? And move them more towards about, say, here. I could help, like my job right now as main tank is to puncture each of these Storm Atronachs as we go. So that way we get to kill them a lot quicker. Caesar, like I mentioned, would be up here. And once you guys have cleared the storm atro off the field, we're going to say there's a lightning pool over there. Caesar, you're going to go ahead and bring that atro into the lightning pool, just like on normal. And then the entire stack is going to move from exit to entrance, repeating the same thing for each of these Atronachs. It makes it a lot cleaner, and by the time Lokestiiz gets back onto the field, you guys will no longer be in a danger zone, potentially to get breathed down on by the dragon. A couple things to note about Lokestiiz when he's up in the air too. He's a bit of a, pardon the language, he's a bit of a bitch, but he does a strafe attack, which is incredibly annoying because it does pause our DPS, so it takes a bit of time for us to get back to mechanics. It's a mechanic on its own. But he does this strafing sort of laser that goes across the field like that. All you do is you gotta block. On normal, it's not that much. It's more of a nuisance. On veteran, it is still a nuisance, but this time we get taken down. And the reason why I had you guys stacking one behind the other or on top of each other on the backside is so that you could see this guy, all right? So he does that, and then sometimes, or not sometimes, but he will have a carpet. So you want to stay out of that, and it stays on the field for a little bit of time. I can't remember how long because I'm typically, as a DPS, I'm more focused on stacking behind each of these Atronachs over here. But once that clears, or even if it isn't clear, you could technically roll through it as long as our healers are the first one through. All right. So you want Snips and Pirate to be the first ones to roll through and get here, so that you guys can get in there already buffed up, already healed up, ready to take that thing down. Another mechanic that Lokestiiz has is what is his shout, which is pretty awesome. I just love it when the dragons shout. I think it's cool. But you will get a pulsing AoE around one of you. Don't panic on this one. All you have to do, and anyone who's caught within its radius or circumference, whatever, you just got to block. Wait for him to shout, block through it, and then resume DPS. By the time you guys finish these two Atronachs, Lokestiiz will have landed, and we'll be back to Dragon Phase, repeating Ice 2 mechanics. Okay, so it's very important that at this point we have Snips already positioned in the back. I'm just gonna remove this trail over here. I'm gonna have Snips here, and we're gonna have Caesar over here. And we're going to have you guys return to stack there once these are done. Okay? That should be it, but I'm just going to pause the video here so I could set up for execute phase.